Hi, welcome back to Educator.com. This is the lesson on cellular energy. Some facts we should go over before continuing into a lot of the details about energy in cells is just some kind of laws of physics that have to do with energy, important things to keep in mind. The laws of thermodynamics, there are a couple main things we need to know. First off, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So first off, thermodynamics has a lot to do with heat movement out of organisms into organisms, but not even just living things. We're talking about everything in the universe. So when we talk about energy, it's not just energy inside of you or me. We're talking energy having to do with work in a car, solar energy, energy in stars, any form of energy. It can't be created or destroyed. So it's all about conversions. It's about taking one form of energy and converting it into something else. And that's how the world works. That's how the universe works. How all the energy got here in the first place, that's debatable. But in terms of using energy, we can't just make it from scratch. It's about transferring from one to the other. And we do these things called chemical reactions involving energy transferring from one form to another and taking sort of different forms is the chemical reactions that happen, whether we're breaking something down or building something, it always contributes to increased entropy. Entropy is basically chaos in the universe. Even building up molecules in cells, over time, it's a losing battle in terms of making energy kind of work for you. And so over time, there's just increased chaos. And here's another way to look at it. When you crack an egg, the egg comes out of the shell, spills out onto the frying pan. There is no way you can get that egg back into the shell. It's not going to go back to its previous form. You can't reverse that. Any reaction that happens, it contributes to chaos in the universe. And that really comes into play when you talk about physics. But in terms of biology, we're going to focus more about different types of energy and how that affects cells. How do you get solar energy being converted to chemical energy, food? We'll talk about that in this lesson. So in terms of the different types of energy, potential energy. If I hold something up a certain distance from the surface of the earth, that has potential energy. It has a certain amount of mass, and we can calculate how far above the earth it is, and we can determine, hey, if I let it go, what's going to happen? Potential energy is me holding it here. When I let it go, that potential energy gets converted to kinetic energy. That's the energy of movement. And you do these physics problems quite often in physics classes. In terms of biology, this particular course, chemical energy is a big part of it. Chemical energy, food. In terms of powering a car, that could be gasoline. Chemical energy in food, we eat that energy that's stored in chemicals, sugars, lipids, proteins, etc. And that gets converted in our bodies into mechanical energy, the energy of moving parts. Machines have mechanical energy. Well, we're not a machine. We are made of cells, but our heart beating, that's mechanical energy. It wouldn't happen without the chemical energy from food. Us moving our muscles, that's certainly mechanical energy. And solar energy is another important one. Without energy from the sun, we wouldn't have the ability to have sugars. Plants take solar energy, convert that to chemical energy, and all of this, it's just a cycle. The one leads to the other, and so on and so forth. So a lot of the lesson in this particular part of the course is about how energy gets transferred from one version to another. When we talk about energy, you got to know about ATP, Adenosine Triphosphate. ATP is kind of like energy currency. You can spend it on doing anything in the cell that requires energy. There are other energy molecules, but this is definitely the most common energy source that's readily available for use in cells. How do you get this name adenosine triphosphate? Well, it's made of an adenine. Let me color code this. Adenine, right there, that's this. Ribose. Here's ribose. This is the sugar ribose. And 3 phosphates. That's how you get the triphosphate. So the 3 phosphates, here's 1, 2, and 3. Adenosine triphosphate. So the first part, adenosine, they took this word adenine and ribose, adenosine. They just combine them. It's easier than saying adenine, ribose, triphosphate. So adenosine triphosphate. They have all these labels here in this particular diagram because they're telling you like, hey, just this part, if we ignore those three, this is the adenosine. If we also include this one phosphate, it's known as AMP, adenosine monophosphate, also known as adenolic acid. AMP actually has a lot to do with signaling inside of cells. ADP, adenosine diphosphate, would be if we didn't have this third one. If we just had these two phosphates attached here, that's ADP. You'll see more about that in the next few slides. And then finally, yeah, the whole molecule, this whole thing is ATP. And the whole way it works is it's the breaking of this bond, the third phosphate leaving and being put back on and leaving and being put back on, and that powers the majority of work in cells.